If we can do a mic check when somebody gets in here, I am going to close off 10 of these. Oh, I didn't do it quick enough. All right, so I got 2 runners left. I'm going to move my stop down. I'm not sure if these are all the instruments we're going to watch today. I may switch some of these up. Platinum trade was a small, short-lived trade. So came home, noticed on a 3-minute chart there was a pendant formed in here. It consolidated, getting tighter. So I dialed down to 1 minute, drew the pendant flag, and it broke out. I did take the trade before it broke out of the pendant and on platinum, and it did break out. I only put 2 contracts on, I believe. I'd have to go look back out on Discord. Still trying to wake up here. I think I only put 2 on. Yeah, I put 2 on platinum. And when it broke out, it was up about 180. It hit the 200 mark, so I just closed one out. This account, I'm just looking for a couple hundred per day. Left my stop, and then eventually moved my stop as it was pulling back and got stopped out. So I have to go back and look at the report and see where that ended up overall. So not doing anything with it now. Gold, I went ahead and got in. So I just got stopped out of this over here. I was in the Japanese yen. I was scanning this morning and it gave a good setup. So it pulled back and broke. The only drawback to it was I did have a down trend line there across here. So I was taking a little bit of risk getting in on that signal because of that. And it panned out. It pulled back a little bit and then dropped up for me. So, and then it just dropped quite a bit. So it was up quite a bit. And when I closed out, I don't know. I got to pull the report. But probably only got about 150, 200 out of, well, I don't know. Probably more than that. We'll see. I'll pull the report. So that's probably all I'm going to do on the yen this morning. I normally don't trade it. Just I was scanning the currency pairs, and it looked like it was set up the best. The only other thing I've been in so far this morning is gold. So gold's played out good for me this morning. Basically, it had broken this uptrend line, and so it broke it and then pulled back up. You always want it to pull back up to test that line it just broke. Doesn't always have to get there. Doesn't always reach it. Sometimes it hits it and goes up the back side. So it basically turned right here, which is the inside of this top move. So it basically turned there, gave a sell signal, or not sell signal, but a bearish red candle, a nice bearish red candle. That was actually, could have been an entry for somebody. I was waiting to see if the sell signal came, and it did come 2 candles later. So at the time where this bearish candle was, there was only these 2 time frames lined up. And then, of course, then it did give a sell. So that's what I got in on. Sat in the negative for a little bit because it actually pulled down here. And you can see where I closed out partial. So when I placed the trade on this, I went ahead and put on my contracts, put on 10. And then I came down here to target 1 and put on an 8 buy limit to close out 8. And then you can see still I have the 1 buy limit down here. That was to close out 1 more if it started trending. Close out 8 here, close out 1 more. So I didn't have to monitor the trade as much. I could just, kind of set and forget. The only thing you have to do is what I need to do right now is I only have 2 contracts on and my stop still says 8 or 10. So, that's one thing you got to remember to do. I wasn't really paying attention to. So when it comes up to hit your target level, the best thing I've found is to set an alarm so that when it comes down, closes out my 8, there's an alarm that goes off that I know I need to look at the computer. And when I do, I could change this right here and change my stop order to match the current contract size, because once it closed 8, I was down to 2. And then I would want to actually set an alarm on this line too. And that's so that, again, when it closes out 1, if it got to there and closed out 1, well, then I can change my stop size. So I never did move my stop to the halfway point. So we'll kind of see what happens. It's kind of falling apart. 2 time frames are green. Doesn't mean it's going to go bullish the rest of the day, but it could. So, you know, I was glad that it did finally come and take profit. So I almost closed partial here. And I really kind of wish I would, because if I would have closed partial there, I would have added back in over here, you know, and taken another trade. So I could have had one closed partial here, stuck another trade on this red candle, and then definitely closed partial on that one. So I would have had 2 closed partials on that with 2 runners from this trade, 2 runners from this trade. So I'd have 4 on right now, about to get stopped out. But that's okay. I wanted it to take profit 1, but I was kind of itching to close there and just, you know, didn't. But that would be the only way I could have added to the trade and maybe got some more. So again, I don't know if these are obviously gold we'll leave up. Bitcoin I haven't traded in a while. So I don't know what we're going to set up for news. I kind of came on live here a little early. So, yeah, I've been waiting until the U.S. stock market opens before doing them. So we might just be sitting here for a while, waiting on the setup. So let's see what we want to do here. Because we're getting that, you know, even if we dial down to a 1 minute on ES, you'll see this just sideways movement as it's starting to kind of plane out there. It is Friday, so I really don't want to give back money that I made through the week. So the gold trade's finally out on the runners. So I need to close this trade. And we'll take off we'll take this all off the chart here, at least those 2 things. So right now we have a buy. The only caution on the buy is we're at the high right here. You know, it's right here at this high. So if I get in on a buy right now, I'm taking on a little bit of risk, extra risk, because it's, 1, it's extended, and 2, it's, you know, at that high. So what I could come in and do is put in like a backup order or pending order up here in case it pops and runs. I don't want to do it without me. So we could put a buy stop there, and then it's always hard to know how close do you set it, because, you know, I could bring it down here and it could just wick up again a little bit more and take me in. I could put it up here and it could wick up and take me in. So there's no real set rule as to how many ticks away from a high that you place that. And there's nothing that works. There's nothing you could say that says, well, if you go 10 ticks up or 2 ticks up or 5 or 20, that you're going to be safe when it wicks up. Other than that, it's going to take you in. It's going to be a good move. There's absolutely nothing, guys. So you just have to decide that, hey, I want to put a safety trade on. That's what I call a safety trade or backup trade. And then in the meanwhile, we can get stacked into, and I've been using 12 today. 12 on, closing 10 as partial. That's what we used to do way a while back in Forex. We'd place 2 separate trades. You can't do that on this platform. But on MetaTrader, we could place 2 separate trades. One was a 10 contract to close at our close partial. The other was a 2 contract to close. So what I'm waiting for is we'll wait and see if it pulls back. Since we have printed all 3 time frames. Now I'm on mine here, I have these set on 5, 15, and 60. They're a little more aggressive. I don't have the 240 on there. So instead of using the 15, 60, and 240, mine are set on the 5, 15, and 60 because I'm just looking at holding these trades short term. So I need to get more frequent signals. I draw a trade line up like this, and then basically I'm set. I'm not big on using limit orders on the pullback. I know some people do. I normally don't do that. I want to see how the structure builds up. We might get taken in on that pending. I hate when it barely takes us in. So it could take me in on the trade and still pull back. That's what I don't want to see, but I'm afraid that's what we're going to see. So what I hate seeing is barely taken in, have to sit through pullback and go. What I'd rather see is if it's going to take me in, it just pops. But I don't know that we'll get that because of what time it is so far. It's still only 8. It's about 8:40. So if it triggered me in, so technically my stop needs to be down here. It's a pretty wide stop. So we only put 5 on. So a little extra risk here. That's why we went in with less contracts, because that's pretty wide. That's where it should be, is down there under the low. I'm going to actually use my this trend line up is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to use that trade line for my stop management and keep it down below that. So not as much risk. And then in the meantime, we'll wait for it to pull back. If it pulls back, then I can stack in. And I would stack in with the other 7. Let's peek what else is going on. Yeah, so I'm glad I took profit where I did on the yen. Remember, I was in short, closed partial, stopped out on the remainder, so glad I did that. ES finally popped the bottom, so I didn't get in on that, but I should have stayed on it. Instead, we got on gold. But ES, I'd noticed that it was right here. The 3-minute, just this long wick candle here, the one next to it dialed down to a 1, and then that was this, right here where it's kind of a pendant in there. Let me draw it. Where it kind of got tight, I need to take this off. I know it doesn't look the greatest. There's just not really many candles to pull off of. It kind of got tight in there, like right here. And we finally broke out of it, and it's moving. So signal already came. I didn't take it, so I don't know what we'll do with that. We'll have to see. I've already got risk on the gold trade, so I don't know if I'm going to put on added risk. Check on Nasdaq, see what that's doing. There's Nasdaq popped. It's kind of gotten flat in here. So you don't see that on the 3-minute. 3-minute, we just see big candles, and then we see it's kind of stalled out here. If you dial down to a 1, you can actually see those 3 candles that dropped sideways for a minute, dropped again, sideways for a minute. So if that's the pattern for the day, that'd be great. I kind of scanned to see if gold or gas would be better. I don't really like how either one of them were. So other than, oil right now has been printing 2 buys, and then you look at gas. So they've been all over the place this morning. So I don't know if I'll trade either of those. We might sub one out. Again, Bitcoin, kind of nasty right now on the signals. Something I got to remember is on the currencies, I am doing standard contracts, not micros. So as I'm in here trading, I can't let it get too fast because I don't want to come in here and put 12 contracts on one of these. take that contract off. So we're getting a pullback on the indices. You know, the stock market opens up. We got, what, 45 minutes before the stock market opens now. So we're starting to see Nasdaq pull back, ES pull back. They're in sync. Everything's in sync. You know, Russell's pulling back. They don't move identical always. Sometimes they'll move a little different. Nasdaq, they tend to move the same when they're obviously they sync up. However, you know, Nasdaq will kind of lead the pack and kind of whipsaw back and forth a lot, especially when the stock market opens. So I'm not looking to trade any of those yet unless I get a setup. So I kind of missed it, missed everything falling back red on all of them with all the sells. So we'd have to wait for a pullback. So looking for an entry, I'd want to see them pull back to test, you know, the previous lows. So if they pull back and test these lows, which they've pretty much done, as you look at ES, it's already pulled back. I'd be looking for a red candle. We're not going to get a signal unless the upper bar goes back to green. We won't get a signal on it. So what we're going to have to do is use our traditional tools here. And that'll be our retracement line up. And pretty much you can see we'd have the same. We'd have a retracement line on NQ and Russell. Since everything's in sync, I'm going to pull Russell off. We'll give Russell a break for the day. I think this is what we're going to stick with. I still want to look at oil or gas. Let me pop these up here. I kind of want to go long in gas right now. The thing is, it's right here at the high. So it retraced back quite a bit. You know, it's been bullish since what? 6 a.m., 8 a.m. It's retraced back quite a bit, popped, you know, gave a buy signal here, popped through the retracement line, buy signal, and now it's getting ready to crank and go. If I get in now, it's going to be light because it's extended. So I don't like getting in on extensions. So I was getting ready to put a pending order there and did not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get aggressive with this. I'm going to put a pending order here, but did it not take my order? I don't know if this account I can trade gas. I haven't tried it yet. I might not be able to. That's going to be a bummer. Yeah, it doesn't look like I can. This is a different account that I'm in, and it doesn't look like I can trade gas. Well, I'm bummed. Anyways, that's what I was going to do. Put a pending order up above, and we'll just use a check mark. So it's going to come in, put a pending order up above where it's at now, and then meanwhile wait for it to pull back some. And then if it pulls back, you know, to test like this low area in here, you know, either the low, I don't want it to get to the low. So that's where you want it to get to the inside bottom, because if it gets to all the way to the low, we might double bottom. It might break that. Okay. So really what I want it to do is come down in here and turn around this inside bottom, the bottom of that swing. So turn around the inside. It can give me a retracement line, which I'm just kind of drawing right now. So that would be a retracement line down. And I'm just kind of drawing it because right now there's no candles to draw it off of. So what I'd love to see is it to go down a retracement line and then turn in here somewhere. So, you know, come down through here, hit that area, and then break that. I'd love to see that right there. And then a green candle, and boom, I'd get in. So I'd get in right here and then cancel the pending order up here. So we're not going to watch that, though, today if I can't trade it. And I've got plenty of account size, so it's just not letting me trade. So we'll just get stuck watching oil today. I'll get back over to the other here in a minute. So nothing's happening on gold. Again, I got suckered in on that wick popping up there. And we're sitting in. And again, I'll stack in if it pulls back here. Morning, Carly. So we're getting a break and test. I don't know if this is going to hold true on all these. So NQ and ES, they're identical right now. So they're both pulling back to test that retracement line. So both of them are retracing, pulling back up. So this would be a good setup. Now we're getting red, we're starting to see red candles. So that's what I'd like to do. Now here's the problem. Getting in on this is perfect. We had a sell, everything's red, boom, it pulled down. We've had a retracement. We've had two. We had a little retracement here and pop, had a retracement here and pop through the retracement line. It's pulling back up to test the backside of that retracement line this high. We're waiting on a red signal candle to get in. So everything is perfect for the setup. So I feel confident in taking it. I'd like to wait for a red candle. There's the one issue with that is that the red candle might be huge. It might come all the way down and test the bottom. Okay? So it's just a little added risk. Love that we're getting a sell here possibly. And that's only because we turned the first bar turned green for a minute. So I really need to see a red candle because it still might retrace some more. I don't want to see it retrace more. I'd love to see red candle here because it's perfect. It retraced up, broke the retracement line, pulled back to test the backside of the retracement line and this low, red candle, boom, I'm in. So I'm just waiting. And again, the red candle may be all the way down at this low. That's the only thing I hate about the way these are set up now. I like to see a big, long, deep retracement and then this happen because I know my target. If I see a big, long, deep retracement, and it would have, if these would have retraced, ES would have retraced way back here. Same with Nasdaq. And they pop through up here. Well, where's your target? My target's the low. It may not break that low. Okay. So right now, if I take this and get in, I think I'm going to go in lighter. I'm going to go in 5 because I might be taking a loss on this. Because my target, first target's this low. It has to get past that. So we'll go ahead and sell. I am going in a little lighter. And then I'm going to use a tight stop loss. I'm just going to use this high that we're, the low from back here, which is this high. And we'll do that. Now, my initial target is right here, which is very, very small. I'm not going to pull partial there. I just know it may not go and may not break out. That's not enough to pull partial. I mean, that's like what? I think that's Big Mac money. I think that's what we're going to call it. Everybody knows about McDonald's. So we'll call it Big Mac money. Let me move my orders off to the left. So, again, I'm just going to leave that on. We'll see what happens. Not really interested in, Big Mac money down here if it hits in here. So, but we need it to break that. So I need to realize that this is the area that it is having a problem breaking right now. So that's the area of support that it's respecting. We have the same thing over here on Nasdaq. So if I get in with Nasdaq, I could do the same thing. I'm not going to get in both. They're in sync right now. So they're running together. We'll keep them up, but I'm not going to sit there and get in both because if I get in with with, let's just say I even go in with 5 short Nasdaq. Well, I'm taking on the same risk that I'm taking on here, and that means I'm doubling my risk. If I take on 5 Nasdaq short right now, should I have not just went 10 on ES? So that's why I'm not taking Nasdaq short. It's one or the other. You don't have to get into both, especially when they're in sync like this. You look at every candle, they're pretty much in sync. So we're finally up a little bit on this other gold trade. I don't want to take it off screen for a little bit. So again, I did not trade this long, but I did trade short. I went over that. I deleted the image. If you go out on Discord, I have a, oh, wait a minute. Let me do this. Actually, I still got it because I cropped an image. So I don't know who's in here, who was in here, but this is the trade. Basically, it broke this up trade line. So it broke the trade line up, came down, pulled back, right? And it pulled back and turned pretty much at the inside top, okay? Red candle, which is a nice big bearish candle. Only 2 time frames were red for me down there, so I did not take the trade. And then I waited on the sell signal. I waited to see if the last time frame lined up, and it did. So that's where I sold. The image is out there. Let me see this, actually. Is it this one? Yeah. So here's the image. So when I got in, so I got in with 10 contracts, put 8 buy limit here to close out 8, and 1 buy limit here to close out 1 more, and I'd have 1 runner on. And it only, right in there, it pulled back and then down. So I was positive for a while. I almost closed partial, and I kind of wish I would have. I didn't. I was waiting on my target to be hit. The only reason I say I wish I would have is if I would have closed partial there and locked in that partial, then over here when it got back, I could have added back in on the pullback. So I kind of missed that opportunity, but that's, you know, only if you're willing to close before it hits your target. And today I just wanted it to hit the target. I just was like, no, and see how we're getting that pullback on gold. So the reason why I'm in gold now is because it breached this high, and I decided to put a pending order above. I went light on the contract, so instead of 12, I did half of them. Well, not quite half, but did 5 instead, and then I was going to add to my position as it pulls back and bounces, if that's what we get. So we'll see on that. So here on ES so far, I'm glad I went in light because of that. Remember, went in light because it could still go deeper. All it did was pull back again to test this area here. They're both testing those lows. Now I would move this right here or do another one. So that's our retracement line. That's the one I traded off of. Broke through the up retracement line. The retracement line up, broke through it. Came back to test it. Test that low. Red candle. Sell signal on top of it. So great entry. It just hasn't done anything yet. Okay. So we get a pullback. What I was getting ready to do was do this. Was draw another retracement line from that low to here. Okay, this line here to here, those 2 points, and draw that because it broke, and then when it came up here, it had made that low. So that's the line I wanted to get to draw, and we'd have the same thing on ES since they are in sync. What I don't want to see in gold is the second bar down here start printing red. Really like to see it bounce in here. And I don't think I'm going to add to that position since it's back down in that area. So the platinum trade was very short. Again, I got in hoping for bullish continuation. I had a nice bullish move. You guys can't see platinum, can you? We'll change up Bitcoin and platinum. All right, so we've hit a target on ES. Carly, are you talking about the switch over on the day that happens between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. or 5 and 6 p.m.? So if I'm going to pull some out on S&P, I'd like it to pop. It's right now hitting that low right here, this wick. That may be it. That may be the only move we get. So if you drop the indicator, just cycle it back on all of them. So do I want to close? I hate closing out for less than $100. So I'm only looking for about 100 per trade. So we're at 130 on this, 137. I am going to go ahead and close 3. Just in case it doesn't break. And I'm going to get ready to close 1, and I need to change my stop. Because we're starting to get movement on other items. So I got 2 runners on. So since we're starting to get movement on some other items, I want to kind of get ready to trade those. Oil pop. There's nothing I can do. I'm not chasing that. That right now you'd be trying to get rid on a moving train. Sorry. So notice how on oil, everything was green. Buy green, everything's green. It pulled back here, I drew a retracement line here, you draw a retracement line there, it broke through, gave another buy. See how oil only went to this high. That's it. So buy signal, could have got in, oil. This right here is the reason why I just closed out up here on ES. You don't know if it's going to go through the level. So I'm glad this is happening at the same time. This over here happened the same time as this, or the same day. Because again, everything was green, had a buy signal. Boom, you could pull partial. As it pulls back, you draw a retracement line. As it pulls back deeper, you draw an inner retracement line, which is going to be steeper. And then it broke it. There's a buy. This is why we have to close partial. The oil gave you the opportunity. You would buy there. Where's your first target? Your first target should be that inside top over here, or the high. Those are your targets in that area. And it comes up and gives you that. It gives you profit. But if you don't close partial, you got stopped out here on this drop. So on oil, again, you could take the buy. It goes up. You're in profit. You don't close partial. Boom, it tanks. And guess what it does? It hits your stop because you had your stop down here. You might have aggressively moved in on the way up and got some. But that right there, that reasoning, okay, all it did was go back to test the high and tank. That's the reasoning for me pulling partial here. I know it's not glamorous, I only had 12 contracts on and closed 10, And I have to look. It was probably 100. I don't know. I'll go pull a report. But and that's not glamorous, you know, closing out and such a small profit. However, can you picture if Nasdaq, if the ES did that to me right now? You know, it pulled down to hit that bottom. Well, what if it popped up and stopped me out? Well, I'm in a positive trade. Okay. And now that it looks like it's breaking, I'm going to move my stop down to about a halfway point, which is right around that low. So if it tests that low, I'll be out. So I want to protect my profit on that trade. And we did get stopped out on gold on that wick down. So, but that's why you have to be willing to close partial. And Carly, on the gaps on this time switch over at 6 p.m., I don't really pay attention to those too much because they're not true market gaps. I mean, the market's closed, so I don't look at those as opportunities at the 6 p.m. market gap. I don't look at those as opportunities to trade. That's because the market's still moving. It's just the brokers. Some brokers are closed, not all. But that's just the market's still moving while you're closed, while your broker is closed for trading. So I don't look at those as an opportunity if that's what you were getting. Now Sunday gap is different because the market's open, of course, all weekend long. So from Friday at 4 to Sunday at 6, you've got the market's closed for quite a bit. And those gaps a lot of times will get filled. More so in Forex. I don't know as much in futures. But that's why you'll have those gaps, is just because the market's still moving. We're getting a good bounce on oil. So oil did pull back and give a red candle bounce for another sell. If I go in on that, it would be light. Look at the lows. It had such a huge drop, though. I think it's going to retrace back more. I hate saying that. I hate saying I think it's gonna, but we'll see. So we may get chop on the day. We'll see. I forgot I was going to pull some reports, wasn't I? We still got some news coming out at 10 a.m., so we got a little less than an hour on that. Let's see here. If it'll let me pull the reports. I don't know why their platform has issues pulling reports. I can get in there one day. There we go. I can get in there one day and it'll pull them, and then the next day it won't. Or 1 minute, not day. There it is. Guys, I don't know what to say. This couldn't happen any better today. So, I don't know. This couldn't happen any better today on ES. for other than me talking about it. So again, I was talking about oil down here, gave another buy. It only went to that high. You have to close partial because then it gave a big, huge drop. So if you traded oil on that, if you didn't close partial at the high, you were in a what? A losing trade, big fat losing trade. Same here. ES had decent move. You know, ES had a decent downward move, pulled back, another sell signal. This sell signal came after it. The sell signal was perfect. I mean, it came right after it pulled down, pulled back up to test the backside of this retracement line, that previous low, you know, testing it as resistance, gave a red candle, sell signal. That's a good valid entry. And that's where I got in short, sat in the negative a little bit, gave another sell. But that's why you have to close partial. I don't know. I'm a firm believer in closing partial, always have been, since I, was struggling through it, because I was trading 15-minute charts, and I'd be up $200, $300, $400, and then only back down to zero later, and then in the negative. I wasn't closing partials. And then once I figured that out, it was stuff like this that saved me. I know it's not glamorous, and we're not putting on 30, 40 contracts, because that's just not smart trading. So you put on less contracts. Why? Well, because that's your target. It may not get past that. That's what you always have to say to yourself. Oh, I would love for it to, just take off after I get in and go way down here. Okay? That's what everybody wants to see. There's no trader in the world that would not like to get in on an entry and see it go down there. There's no trader around the world that's going to say, oh, no, I don't want that. Don't give me that. I don't want that at all. There's no one that's ever said it and is going to say, no, don't give me that move. I don't want it. That's the move we all want. But what you have to say when you get in these is there anything in my way? Is there any reason why it might not take off and get down here? Is there a reason why it won't take off down and get down there? Well, we have a previous low right here. So yeah, we have something right there that says I may not go lower than that. And it did. It came down and stopped. That candle pulled up a little bit. I thought, well, there it is. It's going to turn. It did pull down some, but then hammered it again. So I thought, and then this red candle. So after that, I thought, man, it's going to go. Because, again, the candle stopped at the low. Green candle up. I was thinking, oh, it's going to bounce. Then you had a red candle, close below, close down, still below. This green candle pulled up to test that low, and then this red candle pulled down. I thought, well, that's our bounce. Right there on that candle. I thought that's it. It came down, pulled back up to test it. Boom. There's a red candle. I thought that was our bounce. And it wasn't. It just went sideways 3 more, bam, hit our stop. So this is why you have to close partial. Have to. All right, so I'm not in anything now, so we'll look to see. We have a sell here. If I'm going to get in gold, I would take it light. Like super light, because it's already moved. I'd rather wait for a pullback before getting in. It's kind of messy, and I would need to blow the chart up and look at it. So I think that's great on, and if you can manage your trade like this, like ES, that's great. That's how it should be managed, because you just don't know if it's going to pop. There's no guarantee that, and I don't care what signal you're using or anything else. You have to look at your highs and lows. You have to look at them, because a lot of times the instruments will respect those levels. And I don't know if I'm going to get anything right now until after U.S. stock market opens. And we have news coming out at 10, so I might wait it out. If I can sit on my hands long enough. I don't know, is anybody in anything? But yeah, Carly, on the if you're yeah, and I think you were talking about the 6 p.m. gaps. It's really I wouldn't recommend trading till after the market opens back up for a little bit. You know, I don't like looking till like 7:38. Now, don't get me wrong, I've traded some right at 6 p.m. But when I do, I know that I might just be throwing money away. I'm going to go down to 1 minute on gold. I was getting ready to throw some on, but I thought no. Well, there we go. I could have. See where that dialing down to 1 minute. Because again, I was on the 3 on gold. I could see this wick down. Now I marked it now. It wasn't marked. We were down here pulling back, and I thought about throwing some on. Well, dialing down to 1 minute, now you can see the individual bounces, so I should have actually got in that. We still could. I'm going to throw 3 lightly. We're going to go in lightly. And we'll change this order to close out 2. But with 3 contracts, I don't really care about this trade. So I really want to see a good profit target at this point if we get it. I'd be happy with it going to the backside of this trade line down here. I'd be happy with it dropping to that, but that's not going to really be a lot of profit. Tight stop on it. Kind of got in at the bottom there, so it's going to bounce. It's going to pull back. I would expect it to do this at least. Maybe even something like that before it goes. Or at least it'll get down to there. So nothing, again, with 3 contracts, it's nothing I'm going to care about. There's our sell signal on oil. And that should not have 32 on it. Debating how many I want to go on that. Because we have this retracement line here. I'm going to wait. I said I need to sit on my hands a little bit. Oh, did you win about 6:20 a.m.? Is that Eastern time? Oh, you're way back here. Yeah. Yeah, it already kind of moved, hadn't it? We had plenty of cells in here, and the cells just come up like this every time the upper bar turns back green and then goes to red again. That's why you'll get multiple cells like that. It's every time they all sink back to red. You're going to get it. So one thing I look at, Carly, is this right here. Go back. You can go back to the original sell signal, one of these, and say, that was my signal. It doesn't matter if you look at this one or whatever, or the last one. But you go back and say, okay, if I would have been at the computer earlier, so if you came to the computer and you're looking at this, and it's over here and it's 6:20 or something, I just look and say, well, that's my true sell signal. That was where I should have got in, or this one or this one, any of those, because the move's already moved quite a bit. So you look at what's happened. It pushed down, breaching these lows, and then basically came back up to test those lows and then popped. So looking at that, and I don't always do this, but you'd sit there and go, okay, well, if I put my stop above here, above this high, and if I got in on there and you'd go one high level back, then technically you'd put your stop up here and you'd say, okay, it's already gone that far. It's already hit, almost two profit targets. But ultimately you're looking saying, well, it's already moved quite a bit. On extensions like this, where it's pushed down already, I don't like to get in with my full contract size. So if I'm doing 10 or like today 12 on an extension like that, I'm expecting a pullback. I'm not expecting it just to scream and keep going down. So less contracts. Now, when it pulled back here, I might have added in, but my stop would be tighter, okay, than getting in on an extension. So that's about the only way you can avoid some of that. And then we never know when it's the last turn, because if you look at the move overall, up here was a sell as well. And if you look at that whole move, it dropped quite a bit, from left to right, from the first sells. So it had moved quite a bit. And we just unfortunately never know when we're going to get in on the last one. That's always it should always be a thought process, I think, not a fear. Don't make it a fear. But it should be a thought process that this may be the last signal. It may turn, and I was going to take that sell and didn't, and it's already moved. So I missed that. I need to keep the charts down here on the smaller ones. So I was thinking about getting in on that sell. We had a sell. We had a red candle. However, that retracement line kept me from getting in. I just thought, well, it's a small target. It's Friday. I really don't want to take a lot of losses today, small losses. I don't want to take added risk. So at this point, I'd have to wait for a pullback. We'll see what happens here. Because I don't, it could pull all the way back up into here and test that. Ultimately, on the higher time frame or longer moves, it could pull all the way back up here. So what I'm going to wait for, if oil just keeps dropping, I'm not in it. But if oil pulls back up into this area, gives me a nice retracement line I can draw, better than this one because it pulled away from that line. I'd like it when it has a nice pullback that you can draw a retracement line up, watch that break, that bounce, and then get in. Multiple buys on Nasdaq, but we got about 8 minutes before that market opens. I should have next week, and we'll go over it here in a little bit. I'll have to shrink my screen here. I'll wait till after we get in the stock market and trade some. So I've got the sheet fixed the way I think I want it. I like the changes, or the, not changes, but additions I've made that we talked about the other day. So when we look at that criteria for getting in a trade, we're like 50% if you're trading off the signals. If everything's red, we're looking to sell. Everything green, we're looking to buy. And then for every other criteria, it adds 10%. So I've changed that to where it gives you like a progress bar and a or grade line, and then a the total criteria instead of the way it was set up the other day. Right now I've got all my settings should be on the same. Here's Nasdaq. It's 5:15 and 60. So a shorter time span. I'm not looking at the 4 hour on these right now. I have gone down a little bit lower as I've been trying to see how you guys might be able to go down and scalp. I don't scalp a lot anymore. I have scalped more in the last 2 weeks than I've scalped probably in the last 6 months. I can tell you that. I used to scalp all the time, just in and out. We're in for a couple minutes. And you never know. You might get in a trade and you're like, oh, I'm going to get in Nasdaq long and stay in it long all day. And you guys know that. If Nasdaq doesn't trend for the day long, then guess what? You're not going to be in it all day. So, you know, your thought process could be, yeah, I'm going to trade this and be in it all day. However, the market has other ideas. I'm going to move these lines on oil because it's following my line. I wish this was so. I 100% wish that when I drew a line on a chart like I did on oil right here, that the candles would just flow up my line. That would be marvelous. That would be absolutely, if I could do that every time, draw a line, and can you imagine the market following your line and bouncing, and then you're going to sell there and it follows you down to your target? I mean, I'd take this target and I'd move it down here to where? My 4 hour zone. I have a 4 hour zone down there. I'd move it down there. I'd love for it to follow my lines. So I'm going to kind of, we'll move it down. I'll make it more of a retracement line. So now it's more of a retracement line, which it looks like it's breaking. So I am going to get in with 5. And I'm going to put my stop kind of tight. I'm making my stops tight today. I just don't want bigger losses. I want some small losses. Give me those. So we'll see. It has to break this low. It just formed. I mean, it broke the low here, and then it's come back up. And right now, since we're pushing down, it's formed a lower high, which we want to see. So we've got, you know, over here we got a lower low. This is a lower high than back here. A lower low here than this one. Lower high than this one. That's great. We've got bearish structure in play. Gold price has soared all-time highs over trade war concerns. I think everybody already knew that. Gold has done nothing for us. And I'll get ready to close out 4 on this. But you guys see where my line is. My stop's a little close. I should probably have it up here. I should have it way back here. This is where my stop technically should be, above this high. These 2 highs right here, way up there. And I guess that's not too bad of a loss. We're at 40 right now, so it'd be about 120 loss. Just in case it does this. So right now it's testing the back of that. Again, I used the line tool we used to draw basically our retracement line. It broke the retracement line, pulled back up to test the back side of the retracement line. Love to see a red candle and it push through the lows. Don't know if we'll get it. We're going to get stopped out. See, gold's done nothing for us, and we're going to get stopped out. It's like 120. So it'll be about 130 loss, 140, 135, somewhere in there. We had a sell signal, but it's just not pushing. I think it's going to wait till we got 2 minutes left for the stock market to open. So absolutely nothing trending on the day. A lot of back and forth action. A lot of chop. There we go. And this is why, you know, the stop was above, right at this candle. So I'm okay getting stopped out there on gold because it could just pull up deeper. It already breached this high right here. So you don't want to get, you only want to get back so much. So other than the trades I put on earlier, everything else has been chopped. Was that platinum and gold? Morning MC. I see your lovely copper trade. I gotta ask, have you traded platinum in a while? Or did you and platinum get a divorce? All right, so I like where Nasdaq just gave a sell here. However, in these lines, I'd take off. It's hitting that. The only thing is the stock market's just now opening up. So we might see some whipping back and forth. Nasdaq, ES. Yeah, everything's choppy today. Very, nothing's trended, you know. I mean, we've had little, I don't know what you want to call them, like micro trends maybe, where it just, you know, trended for maybe half an hour or so or 15 minutes, and that's it. So we're getting it both on ES and NASDAQ. If you take a short here, just know that the stock market just might open. So it could whip back and forth, but it could be an opportunity to get in, and if it goes, it goes. So you would go in light with contracts. We've already started getting a push, right? It got in. I won't get in right now because we're getting that extension. We're getting that push on both those. And unfortunately, today, waiting on the pullbacks, we've got in on pullbacks, like over here on gold or on ES, got in on pullbacks, and then the pullback's just gone nowhere. This pullback, I closed partial, and glad I did because it pulled back just to stop the runners out. Yeah, that's all trying to do today. It's just the same thing. So I traded last night, and that's where the bulk of mine was. So I'm good on the day. Oh, I got to check this other trade, though. I gotta check my trades on the MetaTrader 4. Yeah, not bad. 2,300 on the CAD. On the Looney. I'm gonna pull my executions off the charts. They're kind of in the way over here on gold. Did anybody get an ES and NASDAQ? I did not. I was getting ready to pull the trigger, but didn't. And then off that long push, I just decided not to. All right, we're finally making something. We're up on gold. or oil. It's not much. I'm going to move the stop down. I'm getting aggressive on the stop on it. So we're finally starting to get things break and move after the U.S. stock market open. Some little mini breaks. I've got a lot of lines on here. We'll see if oil gets down there to my 4-hour zone. Yeah, that's all you can do on choppy days like this is try and keep your losers small and try and get as much you can on the winners, but just know with a choppy day, you might get beat up a little bit. Took a little sell on gold. I don't know if that's going to pay. I'm just taking a signal, guys, on this one. I'm not, I mean, it pulled back deeper, gave a bounce. We're finally, looks like we might get a sell here. Took it kind of prematurely. I took it that how gold pushed down and pulled back, that green candle, and that's where I jumped in, because basically on this green candle, if you look, it pulled back to where this candle was and closed. So that price level right there is what I'm looking at. So I don't know if that'll pan out or not. So I'm jumping in on that, jumping in on the fact that it pulled back up to test this area over here. So risk your trade, only 2 contracts then. I'm going super light, tight stop. Because it may have been the wrong thing to do. Yeah, I wish we'd get some big moves today, but I don't think we're going to see it. And it looks like I'm going to get stopped down on that little trade. So you should completely, if you take a risk like that, you should not be panicking because it's in the negative. I mean, I'm like, well, lost what, $40? Okay, there should be no panic. So, you know, today, as I said, I was trading 12 on, closed 10. Well, I didn't put 12 on that trade. There's a reason why. It wasn't a full setup. I mean, it's been sideways, and we've had sell signals, and I just took a chance and shorted it. And I shorted it before the sell signal, so it pulled a little bit more, but we're having a choppy day. So I have to look at that and go, okay, I'm getting in. Well, I'm not going to get in with 12, or 10. I'm going to get in with less. I threw 2 on, 2 contracts. That is really low considering the fact that I've been putting on 12. So I took a chance. It didn't pan out. This one might. It pulled back a little deeper. So you have to decide for yourself, like, how many times are you going to do that? How many times are you going to say, okay, I'll throw a little bit at it. We'll see what happens. I know it's a little riskier, so I'm not going to go in with a lot. Right now, it's just testing this low. So although that looks like a great bearish candle, and it may turn into that. It may sit here, and this might be the run it needs to break this low and to keep going. I don't know. We'll see. But it may not. So just there's added risk today. There's extra added risk because of that. I like how Nasdaq and ES has pulled back, and long wicked candle, which means the bearish side of the market was pushing it back up, but the bullish side of the market pushed it back up, but the bearish side of the market pushed it back down. So we might get shorts on these. I definitely on these too would just consider going in light. I wouldn't even put a pending order down here on gold. because they think it might just take you in only to pull back and stop you out. It's a no-go on ES and Nasdaq. They are not ready to go down. Watch this one platinum bounce here be the one to keep going. Yeah, the coffee beans taste green for some reason. Sorry about my coffee. Someone was asking me about the coffee shop coffee. So in a little bit, we'll see how that pans out here if we get any more trades on. And the oil trade, I'm out. It just wasn't ready to go. So decent entry. It had a little pull down off of it. It just, nothing's ready to trend for the day. Is anybody in anything right now? I do want to check back. Let's see. We're watching platinum. I'm not doing anything with Bitcoin, so. Euro. I'm just scanning through the currency pairs real quick. Here we go. And see how, so I'm looking at, oh yeah, I know you're in copper. You're always in copper right now. But as I scan down through the currency pairs, they're kind of behind my head there. If you notice, see how it's pretty much trended since 8:30. So the Forex market basically opens up around 8 p.m. I don't really consider it open till 8:30 or 8 a.m. Sorry. I don't consider the Forex market open till about 8:30. And we have U.S. news, so you'll get a whip back and forth. After that, a lot of times you get a decent trend. Now, that's not on Swiss, okay? But a lot of times you'll get things that trend out like that because everything's tied to the U.S. dollar. It's every currency against the U.S. dollar, basically, are tied. So the U.S. Currency is either the base or cross currency on these pairs. So trading futures is no different. You still get the move. However, it might be in the opposite direction of the spot Forex pairs. It just depends on if the U.S. is the base currency or cross currency. But you get more trending days on the currencies. So I'm not trying to tell anybody to switch to currencies, but if you've never looked, it's worth taking a peek. But you still even get chop on that. So even though it looks like, hey, that's great today, if you go back and look, well, it's chop. But back over here, we had trending last night. Okay. And then it settled in sideways, and then we've got it trending so far today. So what do we have that on Bitcoin? Yeah, so I'm going to stay out of the way of the market for a while here. We'll let U.S. stock market settle in. The first 15 minutes are over. So again, glad we didn't short. They just haven't done anything. So we're having a lot of backwards, back and forth. So let's see how I can do this. All right, I'm going to switch over to this. There we go. All right, so I'm going to quickly go over some of the trade sheet just because as we're watching the market here, we're kind of back and forth on here other than I don't know if I want to throw any more oil or not. I think I'll wait it out and see what happens. I really want to find something that starts trending for the day, and then we'll see if we can capture some of that move. All right, so the trade sheet I'll be sharing out there next week sometime. So it's pretty much good to go. You'll just come up, select the day to trading. You're going to come up and select, multiple instruments, or are you just trading gold on the day? If you're just trading gold on the day, then you're going to come down and select gold. You're going to come down and select gold for your second trade, third trade, whatever. Are we going to trade multiple? If I'm looking to trade multiple, I'll set that up on gold. I'll set, Bitcoin, platinum. There's 6 instruments you can put down here. So oil, ES, where are we at? S&P down here and Nasdaq, or whatever you're going to trade. Okay. So you set them up like that. Time frame entry. I'm entering on a 3-minute time frame. Is Trump speaking? Is Powell speaking? Just check the box. Market session. I'm trading New York session. Are you trading the Sydney, Tokyo, or London? We're trading New York. What's your start time? Now, I've put some times in here. You guys can always edit this and add times. I put like a base time, 6 a.m., and I did every half hour to 10:30. If you're not trading by 10:30, I wouldn't bother unless you come in the afternoon and trade for a few hours. So what time are you coming to charts? 8 o'clock. How late are you trading? Now, this is a little different. It starts at 10 a.m. and goes on. Well, I'm going to cut off at noon. Let's say. Don't mess with these. They're calculations. You're going to put news. When's the news come out? News comes out at 9 a.m. What type of news? Is it red news? Is it orange news? You're going to go select that. You're going to go out to a calendar, and in this section here, you're going to put what news releases those are. This is just a reminder, 15-minute, 1 hour, 4, to find your swing highs and lows, draw mid-levels, draw your zones, draw outer up and down trend lines. Now, if you're trading on a smaller time frame or scalping or day trading, you might even dial down like I have on the indicator and put 5, 15, and 60-minute is what mine set on today. So 5-minute, 15-minute, and the 1 hour. You don't have to change this, just as a reminder to, did you do these tasks? So we're on gold. What do we see? Well, if we switch back to gold, we see that, or let's just use like platinum. Platinum's all red. So we would come back, and now we're going to pick, our platinum trade. Everything's red on platinum. Okay, so what are we doing? If everything's red on platinum, I should be looking to sell. Check the box for a sell. These are the other criteria. So this is where I made changes. So as I'm trading multiple instruments, we had this set up as like 50, 60, 70 on down. Well, the problem with that is if you were ticking boxes and you skipped 1 or 2 because that criteria wasn't met, then you just had to go add these up. You had to go, okay, we're at 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 90% trade. Okay, because there was missed boxes. So what I've done is I've went and changed this to where when you come in, if gold, let's say, was buy, and it doesn't have to be all 4. It could be just 2 or all 3. You could just have the 15-minute and the 1 hour green, but the 4 hours red. I'm still looking for a buy opportunity, and I just know that it's against the 4 hour trend. So Let's say you're looking for buys. When you select buy, it pops 50% down here, plus a little progress bar. Okay, so we're looking to buy. We're not going to trade yet. If we have a retracement or pullback, you tick that, it'll go to 60. So as you tick maybe it doesn't have, well, if it has a retracement or a pullback, it better break that line before you get in. Okay, don't wait. Don't just do it because of a pullback. Now, some of these you might not check. So now we're at 70. Well, here I check this and I'm at 80. So even though this one's not checked, it's still tallying up what you've checked to where you get up to that 100, 110% trade. 120 is max on these. So again, if you have a couple boxes in here not ticked, it's still going to total up your, so that's a change that I made the last couple of days on there. And then the rest is the same. Time of entry you entered, how much is your quantity. So I put on 12, what was your entry price, stop price. When you partial close, you put a total in here. I made $200 on a partial close on gold. I made $120 on a partial close on Bitcoin. That's going to put it up here. It puts it automatically up here. It keeps a running tally of your partial closes. Then, so on platinum, we made, I don't care, we made 80 on that. So that's your partial close, okay? And then here on your runners, well, where do you get stopped out in the runners? Well, we got 120 on the runners. Platinum, we ended up getting, 150 on that one runner. And then, what is this, Bitcoin? Bitcoin, we zeroed out. Or maybe we got a negative, okay? So we had a negative 20 on, or whatever, negative 20 on that. So it's going to total that up. And we got 250 on the runners. So you got 400 on partial, 250 on runners, 650 on the day. And then the bottom, this right here is how many levels back are you going to put your stop? Are you doing a one level back day for your stop? If you're using the trade management tool, right, and you're using the levels, the profit target levels, how many levels back are you going to put your stop? Okay, on a choppy day, you might want to consider one back. If it's trending, you might want to consider giving it a little bit of room. And then this is basically profit level. The 1-to-1 ratio was hit. Where did you move your stop? Okay. And you're going to just punch in the number where you moved your stop. Each time you move, maybe you moved your stop twice. And then this time you did not move your stop, and this time you did not move your stop. So I think it's ready to go. I just want to run it through some more tests. Again, when you select buy or sell there, it puts you at 50%. And then as you tick down, it totals up and tallies that up. So you know when you're at that 50 or at 80, 90, 100%. And then basically, I'll share this out, the sheet itself, and then you guys can make a copy is what you'll want to do. So when I share it out there, you guys, I'll share the link. You guys will have access. Just come in here and hit make copy. No. Yeah. And you'll make a copy for yourself is what you want to do. You won't be able to edit this one because I don't want it to get messed up. And it will be a backup. I'll have it backed up anyways in case it does. But you guys will come back and basically make a copy for yourself. And then you guys will have to let me know because I've never done this. I'll actually test it with another one of mine, emails maybe. But this right here, this is just something I'm messing with right now, the buy sell, so kind of ignore that. Those won't be there. I'm working with hotkeys on here. The reset trade sheet, when you hit that, it should zero or reset all this back. So it'll take your, whatever you type in here for news, it'll take and delete that. It should reset all this stuff. Uncheck these boxes. It should uncheck all these boxes, reset the buy sell. It should take out your time of entry, whatever that may be. And here you just have to, I don't have like a drop down because you could enter it at any time. So you're just going to put 10:10 a.m. It's whenever you enter the trade. These should be reset back to quantity, zeroed out, reset back here to select. These should all be unchecked, and the prices should be zeroed out when you hit that reset button. So The reason why I did that is because I I did this one day, traded several instruments, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going through unchecking these boxes. This is absolutely stupid. Who wants to come through and uncheck the boxes and delete this stuff and reset this stuff? I'm like, nobody in their right mind would. So if you hit the reset sheet, it runs a script that sets all that back for you. It doesn't change the date back. There's no reason to do that. But it resets everything back, clears everything. So right now, it's been working great. So I'll get this out next week sometime. It might be this week. I just want to run it first and against the another account and make sure you guys can, that script copies over. That's the biggest thing. Any questions on that sheet? And you guys, you can use it if you want or not. It's just there. It is a good thing to, if you're not going to use a sheet, to mark up your charts, something so that you can go back over your trades at the end of the day and at the end of the week. All right, so what do we got? We're about half hour in. We still got about 5 more minutes, and that's your halfway mark on the news. Oh, the old sheet. Are you using the old version? Wow, I didn't know anybody was using that. Yeah, and that's something. That's something we don't go over a lot. I've always gone over. You know, you should always look at the higher time frames. Kind of scan them at the beginning of your trade day, at least, to kind of see where things are. But as MC says, they're just, you know, it's a good idea to look at your checklist, whatever it may be. It doesn't matter what you're using. If you're using this one or something else, any trade system or setup you have, any trading system should have a checklist that you run down before you get into a trade. And what he mentioned was just to use the checklist to, you know, keep yourself in line. Go over your rules for the day. Yeah, a lot of time the trade sheet does tie in with the signals, because you'll see those breaks and those bounces, and not always, but a lot of times it does. Yeah, watch gold trend up now for the rest of the day. I'm only up 956 on the day, even with those losses. Just a big healthy retracement on oil. So oil did get it did get down, right? We were way back here watching it, pull back and drew the lines and thought, well, if it breaks that, we were calling this one line our retracement line. So we were calling this one line our retracement line. As I shifted over, it broke that, pulled back up, test the backside, and gave another sell signal and went. And it broke the previous low. But that's all it did. It just wasn't ready to scream. Wasn't ready to take off. Pulled back, sideways, retracement line there. You draw a retracement line every time it pulls back, draw a retracement line. Every time it pulls back, draw a retracement line. And you'll see that a lot of times after retracement lines broke, sometimes you'll get a signal just when it's broke. Sometimes you'll get a signal when it breaks through and comes back to test it. These are actually, like this one here, it retraced here. You draw that retracement line up and it broke it. Well, no sell signal came there. It waited till it pulled back and then gave a sell signal. So great signals today on it. However, no follow through. There's no follow through on the market. It's not ready for the follow through. Down. Okay. So as it comes back here to test, are we going to get a bounce here? This is not really a valid trade line anymore, but notice I kept this. This was a retracement line from over here. So I was looking to go long here, remember? And we had a retracement line from there to there, and I actually bought in here and closed partial up here. Okay? And why did I close partial there? Well, because it might not break that high and go. So it's a good thing I did, and then was stopped down on the runners, because if not, that would have been a losing trade instead of just a small trade, positive trade. So I chose to keep that line there, but basically look at how it's been respecting that line. I don't know if that's going to happen again or not. And we would draw a retracement. If you draw a retracement line up the move now, here, now that's how most people would be drawing their retracement line. For me, this was the original path. The original path was this right here. Okay, so technically it's broken that and testing the backside. So we'll see what happens. And notice, it's still choppy on the day, but back and forth. It's basically making lower lows and lower highs. So still in a nice bearish formation there, nice bearish structure. Has anyone else had a problem with the indicator falling off the chart like that? Normally at 10 o'clock it'll do it. And if you go to one that still has the indicator, just right click and hit apply to all. I don't know, it does it on mine a lot. Does, okay. I think it normally does it just on the 4-hour time frame, but I've had it drop off. I normally just reapply it to the charts. It's fine. Long wicks on Nasdaq. Yes. Did anyone jump in gold in this? I did not. So, missing it. And if you do short oil, just keep in mind it may just barely go past this low, the previous low. That's what it's done each time. So far it's, every time oil has moved down, so we get a sell signal, it's pushed down. It's barely moved past the previous low. Okay, so it doesn't mean it's going to happen, but there's a possibility. Okay, so there's a good possibility. So if you watch the moves, other than this screaming down here, it made a low, and then it comes down and it barely moves past this low. Okay, pulls back, barely pushes past this low, pulls back. So every time it's making lower lows and lower highs. This time it was a little more aggressive. It pushed down further, okay, than that low. But then it's pulling back up into those other areas, okay? So we could look for it to, is it possibly going to do the same thing? Push barely past that low. That's been its pattern. So if it keeps up this momentum and move that it's got, it's just a back and forth between buy and sell, people taking profit, and it's pulling back up and barely breaking the previous low. When it's pulling back up, we're not getting a small test. We're not getting a small pullback and test to where it's pulling back here, and it's barely touching that low, that previous low, and then going down and then coming back and barely touching this previous low. It's not doing that, okay? And then goes and then comes back up here testing that low. So it's not doing that. It's pulling back. So as it's breaking a low, it's pulling back above that low and testing inside highs is what we're getting a test of every time. So we come up here. Well, where's our inside high? This one falls short, but we have an inside high right here. So it's pulling back. So keep that in mind that every time it pulls back, we're getting deep pullbacks on this, which is okay. Okay? And then it pulls down here and then pulls back up over here. Well, where's it come to? It's coming to the inside highs. If I could draw there. It's coming to test the inside high, the inside or underside of an upswing. Okay, you have a swing up and down, the underside of that. The inside low is right here. Okay, so it's breaking the low, testing the inside high. Okay, breaking the low, testing the inside high. Breaking the low over here, testing the inside high. Breaking the low, testing the inside high. And that's what it's doing right now. If I can grab the tool there. It's not letting me do that. So we'll do this. Alt-J. So again, breaking the low, coming back to test the inside high. Okay. So right now, that's what I'd be thinking. Okay, well, I'm looking for it to break the low at some point and come back to test the inside high. So right now, it's broken the retracement line. It could come back up to test the inside high now, which testing the inside high here also does what? So if it pulls back to test this inside high, it's also testing the downward line. It's also testing, look at where this horizontal line is. Okay, it's at the inside high, but look over here on the left. It's that low, way back here. So I could 100% see it pull back to test. So as it does move the rest of the day, that's what I'd love to see. I'm not in it, but it's had some decent moves overall. It's just had good pullbacks on it. Which one are you in? So Candace, you did say you're in gold. Okay. Yeah, we're getting a good, nice size retracement on it. ES and Nasdaq went. Finally. Same thing. They both broke their lows. And just kind of took off a little bit. Sorry, I'm reading one of these news things that popped up. A nice bounce on gold. I really want to put something on there. Just don't know with the choppy day we've had already if it's going to retrace any deeper or not, but I'm itching to actually put one on there. A buy signal, if the lower time frame here goes back green, we would get a buy signal. It's going to be a small initial target. Yeah. It's basically tested twice here, this high over here, which was a nice swing high where it turned. It had trouble breaking it this over here. It wouldn't stay above it, but now we shot up above and it's testing it. So we'll wait if we get a buy signal here. Love to see this level hold up on gold. Love to see that hold up in a buy signal. There's ES and Nasdaq screaming. I hope somebody's in that. Is anybody in ES and Nasdaq? And I traded early over here and closed partial and then got stopped out on the runner and just never got back in. So now we're almost an hour into the stock market. We're about 45 minutes into the stock market. And things are actually starting to trend a little bit. And not really. When I say trend, these are moving down. I like to see more of this. I like to see more of a pattern, structure build up. This is healthy. This right here on oil is completely healthy movement. That's healthy. You can trade that. The stuff we have going on, like right now across the board, where everything's just screaming one way or another, it's really, I don't want to say unhealthy, but it's really aggressive. It's really sharp moves, steep moves, and we're going to get quick pullbacks. Typically, we get quick pullbacks on that. So you just have to pull partial when you can. You have to trail your stops. I know the other day I talked about trailing, a candle or two back, like if you're on a 3-minute. I wouldn't do it on a 1, but if you're on a 3-minute, keeping your stop above, the previous candle, something like that for a tighter trail on a stop. Yeah, with the holding, man, the holding only works if things trend. If they don't trend, it just, your runner may end up with nothing, or if you at least move your stop to break even. So now we've had oil. I don't know what I just did to the chart on. I don't know. Do you guys use the hotkeys? There's hotkeys in this platform. They don't have a lot. But like one of them's Alt. Hold the Alt key and click on the chart, and it'll blow it up. And then hold your Alt key and click on the chart again. It'll reset it. So it is, as you're trading multiple things like this, it does help, rather than coming down the lower right of the screen and clicking that right there, which does the same thing. So oil made its low. Okay, it pushed past this low. So again, it had a nice healthy move. So is it going to, right now, is it going to go back up and test, the inside high level? So is it going to go back up here again and then go push for a... And it may not. That would be a healthy move for it, right? Because that's what it's been doing. It may shoot down from here. It may just pull up, to test that level, that previous low over here. So I would look for it to pull back deeper, but it doesn't mean it's going to. And then if it does pull back deeper, test the inside high here, then we'd look for that sell signal to jump in on. That could be the last signal we get. That's if it does that. We'll have to see what happens here. Because now we have this low right here that it's... So always keep up on your high-low lines or your inside top lines. I didn't really draw a inside top line because it's right here. We have this one back here that was from our previous low, basically right there around that level. So that's really our inside top. See now why I was waiting on gold. It looked beautiful on gold. Pulled back, bounced right at that support resistance level. That was from way over here. This high off that nice swing. Came down, bounced right there, green candle. Really, really lovely. If I didn't have the indicator down here, I would have bought that. I've taken a ton of those over the years in the past because I just would have bought it because it looked, nice bullish move up, pulled back, turning right as support and resistance line, green candle, nice entry. And then I'd get stopped out. And that's why we're using this that looks at a higher time frame. So now that I was looking for as the first time frame was red, was looking for it to turn back to green to give a buy, and it just hasn't. So instead we got the next time frame going to a red because of that steep move down, and now it's pulled back to test that. So shorting would be shorting against the 60-minute, so it would be a riskier trade. So less contracts if you decide to do that. We actually have Nasdaq hitting a 4-hour support and resistance level. And I'm hoping oil gets down because oil might create some buy opportunities down here. There's a 4-hour trend line down there. So the indicator's looking at the higher time frames, looking at the pullbacks is all it is. So it is basically watching the higher time frames for you, where you don't have to look at them. But if you go out to a bigger time frame, you're going to see pullbacks. And when the indicator switched over, you're going to see pullbacks and move short if you just go look out at the chart. So if we go out to, like, you know, the 15-minute, we're seeing downward move. Now this is going to stay the same, but we're seeing a downward move. I've got mine set on the 5:15, the 5-minute downward move, the 1 hour downward move, downward trend. So it's just monitoring that for you. And then we're down on the smaller time frame trading it. So that's all it is. But right now it's hitting a 4 hour. Let me shut that off because it'll get distracting on a 4 hour. So these are the 4 hour zones. I can take this off from previous trades. So these are the 4 hour zones. And basically that's where Nasdaq just got to. So it's at this 4 hour. It's a mid zone for me because we have a lower zone down here that it could turn at. So it might turn in here. So what I would be looking for is looking to see if it continues through. So stick with your plan to trade it short or hold short because it may continue through the zone. So we don't want to close our short position if you're in short and just bail and get in long now, because it may actually go down into the zone like it did here. So you look over here on this downward move, and if you look, when it pulled up, it turned right at this previous high. Now this is drawn from the wick. So basically this zone is drawn from that top of the wick on down. And the reason why it's not down here, it was there at one point, and then so it was drawn there off the wick, 4 hour wick, and then as it pulled up in here in these two candles, this green candle stopped, closed where it did, and the next candle shot down. Well, then what I did was I chose to take and move it like that. Take the bottom and move it up there, saying, okay, well now it's respecting that price point as the bottom of the zone. So that's why that one got moved. So basically it popped through, popped back down, and then this is why you don't want to close out yet on your short, because it may pull down to the bottom of the box. So you may be able to get a little more profit. If it gets through that zone, well, it could come clear down to the green zone down here. Okay. So don't just, this is why when you're looking at the 4 hour time frames, you don't just bail on your trade. You don't just say, okay, it's hit the zone, I'm out, you know, and then you jump back in the opposite direction, because it may not turn there. Now it may. You just have to watch it, and we're looking for breaks of like a trend line, and I would have something on the higher time frame. Come down and draw two trend lines, one from like here to here, and draw those as actual trend lines. And then you would have one from this high to these two wicks here. Pick whichever wick's out there furthest and attach it to that. And my magnet's not on, so it's going to be, if I don't set them right on the lines, it'll be messed up when we go to a smaller time frame. So you would draw down trend line like that. I wouldn't draw a more aggressive one. I can already see that if I take a line from here to here, we're already past that. So I don't really need to draw it because I can see it just with my eyes. See how we're already past that? So we're already through that. So there's no need for me to draw that. So what we're looking at is how is it going to play out here on the zone? You know, it's typically you'll see a pullback on that. Don't have to. It could just push through. So we're not looking to trade it long yet. We need to look for, watch the structure and see how the structure builds up on that. Okay, now we're down on a 1 even. So again, we're watching to see what happens here. It's still making lower highs, lower lows. Okay, lower high, lower low, lower high. Right now it's popping at the same low. So it could still go short. So you would want to hold your position until it shows you otherwise. The ES zone is way down there. So it's on down quite a bit. So we have really a lot of room to drop on that. And I shut the indicator off when I go to a 4 hour. If not, it looks like that. So you can see the room we have on this, this right here, this 4 hour on that. And that's a low from way back over here that was respected here. Okay, so it's very important to go out to the 4 hour and look for your zones. And that's what we're dropping to. So right now it's here. I don't have one there, but you could see that there's an area of support and resistance in here. Good price point. 4 hour support and resistance level. So that's what we're dropping. That's where we're at now on ES. Still has room to get to its zone. So that being said, we're going to have to see which one wins out. Does Nasdaq, because if they move in sync, ES and Nasdaq, and if for ES to get down to the zone, that means Nasdaq has to break through its 4 hour zone. Okay? And don't think that ES is going to push Nasdaq around. So again, for ES to get down there, Nasdaq has to go through here and push to its next zone, which could happen. So just monitor that. Make sure you got your down trend lines and watch for structure. We'd watch for structure to build up for the other direction. So unless bullish structure builds up, we're still going to keep trading it short. And then ultimately we'd have a down trend line right here for that. Nice bounce on oil so far, and it did not pull back up to go for the inside low. It still could, but all right, so see how Nasdaq's finally starting to cruise through the zone a little. MC, just don't look at platinum. see here. So I'm going to have to do this upside down. Just bear with me. I'm trying to. Okay, so I've got to flip my chart upside down. So what I'm looking at is here on the Canadian dollar, which is down in the lower screen. So I did take a trade on it. The reason why I say I got to flip it over is because I told you guys how on currency pairs, you're trading two currencies against each other. So in the Forex market, trading the Canadian dollar, you're trading the US, you're trading it tied to another currency. So I trade it tied to the US dollar because that's one of the major pairs. So in the currency market, the Forex market, it's called the US dollar / Canadian dollar, USD CAD. So the US dollar is the base currency. It's on the left. So for me, I shorted, I went long on the USD Canadian dollar pair. Okay. So since the US dollar is the main currency, I'm trading long, trading that the US dollar is gaining strength against the Canadian dollar. So in the futures market, since this is only based on the Canadian dollar, it will be going down. Okay, so it's going the opposite direction as the spot USD CAD pair. Okay, the US dollar Canadian dollar pair. That's only, again, because the US dollar right now, so when you see the Canadian dollar falling, it is falling against the US dollar. Well, on the Forex pair, it's USD CAD is going long. It's moving up. Okay, so that's why I said I gotta flip my MetaTrader over on my phone. Are we on a 1 minute? I'm trying to mark where I got in. 2 dip pullback, 1 big down, 3 long wick, because their candles are not the same. So we had this 2 dip pullback. Long wick down, doji. Oh, these don't even look close to mine. This one here had a long wick up, and we're talking a 1 minute, but it was actually right in here is where I got in. So I sat through a little bit of a pullback. So that's where I shorted. Now on my chart, it looks a little bit different. So for me, it was this over here. Okay, the candle next to this top. So I've got this double top on mine. Okay. These right here look like one big green candle on mine, and it's still 1 minute. So it's just a difference in going with futures over spot. So for me, This green candle is huge. This green candle goes all the way down to right here for me. So it's a little bit different in the charting. This candle here was red, and then this candle right here, this green one, actually on my chart, wicked all the way back down to right here. So it actually, this green candle for me, wicked all the way down here, okay, and created a low. So it does look a little bit different. Gotta turn this off. So that, again, that green candle wicked all the way down to here. So, and then it pulled back up, and there's the second top. And then for me, I did have this long red candle, and then when it wicked through here, that, and see how it stalled out there below that low. So for me, I had a wick low here on this green candle, and that's what I was trading off of on my chart. When it broke that low and kind of settled in there, I went ahead and took it short, stop above the high, and you can see I was in the negative for a little bit. So positive for a little bit, negative for a little bit, not bad. It didn't go really deep, and then now I'm in the positive still. So that's the Canadian dollar trade. I just don't have MetaTrader pulled up where you guys can see exactly how it looks. So right now it's up 5,300. So I need to close some out. So one I'm gonna so I have 40 on. That's my typical on that account. So I've got 40 on, and I'm closing 30. And then I need to move my stop up, because it's getting pretty aggressive on my chart. Yeah, it's getting aggressive here too. And that was the stop move. So what did I lock in here? And I had some other lines on the chart that you'll be able to see here in a minute. Yeah, I didn't take a picture before I closed. That's all right. So I locked in 4,100. And I have 10 runners. I'll pull it off here for a minute. And you'll see Nasdaq push through that zone. So that's what's that, MC? Shedding tears on platinum. Yeah, don't look at it. Just close the. I know it's hard when I got it open up there, teasing you. So Nasdaq went all the way through that zone. So that's why we hold runners, guys. I'm not in it, but holding a runner, I wish I was. But that's why we hold runners. And then, so that's why we hold runners, is in case it runs, we get it. And up here on ES earlier is why we close out partials, you know, like on oil. Wrong chart. But that's why, this is why we close partials right here. So got in, I was in oil long, it went up, closed partial at the previous high. Have the runner move stop or don't move stop, doesn't matter. You're stopped out. Get in short. You might have got in short on one of these. You hold your runners. That's what we want. We want the runners on in case it goes. It's not always going to go. We're going to get a lot of this too. And we just have to keep taking our lumps on the runners. You know, just stick to it, because you're going to have days where that runner does this. Okay, the runner on Nasdaq, yes, you have a runner on it, does that. You know, platinum, same thing. So that's why we like keeping the runners on. Let me get this on there. I was going to mark my I may have to put my glasses on to see this. Let me get the numbers first. Oh, you're kidding me. Or two. My stop's down here on the Canadian dollar, so trying to match it up with my charts. So good trade overall on it. And yeah, I don't have these signal indicators on there, so you got to ignore that. Because I'm not using those on the Canadian dollar trade. So I basically don't have anything on that chart over there. There's the healthy pullback on oil. And then we're getting it on ES and Nasdaq. So Nasdaq did make it to the bottom of the zone. Now, not really sure if it's going to continue down or not. It's just now getting over to this, you know, down trade line here. So it's more likely going to pop through that, you know, and pull back up to the top of the zone, the top of these levels. But I've seen it before just keep going down, you know, the rest of this. So it doesn't mean it's going to happen today, but it might. Where did I put that trade? Yeah, so here's the Canadian dollar trade. So see how it's going up on my charting. Again, that's because in Forex it's US dollar against the Canadian dollar. So whereas on TradingView it's going down because this is solely based on the Canadian dollar right here. It's just the Canadian dollar futures is what it is. So that's why it looks backwards. Okay. So basically, again, we had that double dip in here, and there's that spike I was talking about. So that spike up right there isn't seen on the futures chart. But that spike up there, I drew a line across that, and it came back down, and then it pulled back up and broke that. That was my high to break, saying, okay, I'm going to get in. And it came up and just sat sideways. I got in on this green candle here. That's why my order's up there. And then I got in with 40. Well, it sat sideways for a while and even went negative. And we expect pullbacks. My stop was way down here. So if you look overall with where my entry was here, my stop was way down here. Look at that gap. Okay. And I just closed profit. When I took this picture, I just closed 30 out. So I had closed 30. If you look at the distance from where my stop was below this low to here, look at the distance then, 1, 2. It was basically 2 times my risk level. You know, so very good trade. 40 on, 30 off, move my stop here, and have 10 on. So even when it pulls back, I'm getting over a 1-to-1 on my runners. Not much, but again, if you look at where the stop distance is, basically this line down here to my entry, a little better than 1-to-1, not a lot. But so basically on 30 contracts, or lots as they call them in Forex, on those 30, 2-to-1, and then on the last 10, if it pulls and gets stopped out, a 1-to-1. So at the time it was, I closed out 30 of the contracts, got 41, 48, and then still had and have 10 runners on. And the 10 runners, so I could have closed it all out. But I'm leaving the 10 runners on in case it moves more. I've seen these trades, you know, where, and the market, if it's trending, then those 10 contracts can, instead of, if I closed it out now, took the 1,400 and ran, well, what if that turns into more? What if this turns into 3,000 or 4,000 or even 10,000 if it keeps going? And that's why we leave the runners on. So great trade overall. I just kind of wanted to point out the difference between, you know, the spot Forex market and the futures, because I know some of you guys are starting to look at some Forex pairs. So there is a difference. It's basically, though, nothing's really too different. It's just the opposite direction is all it is. And it depends on which pairs you're trading. So it looks like we're getting a bounce there on oil. So we had the deeper pullback. It's turning right around the previous high. All right. So guys, I think that's going to be it for me for the day, because I'm definitely not going to put any more trades on. So a couple things. One, I'll get the sheet out next week. Again, I just wanted to point out the differences in the futures versus the Forex. You can still trade, you know, currency futures. I've done it on here. I do it a couple times a week, especially on the Australian dollar news, and then the Canadian dollar. But mostly for me, it's been the Australian dollar on the futures market, and that's in the evening based on its news. And sometimes I've taken them in the morning. So just notice that it might look different on the chart than if you log into a Forex broker, and that's why. So if you open a Forex.com account and trade in TradingView, that chart will be flipped. And again, make sure to hold your runners, guys. Just don't freak out. Like I said, when it hits your zone, and as you notice on NQ, I was talking about the 4-hour zone. So it hit a 4-hour zone. That doesn't mean that it's not going to go further. Okay? The 4-hour zone is drawn off of wick highs and lows. Reset the chart here. So that's the 4-hour zone that it's going through right now. So right now it's testing the bottom of that, right? So it's just testing the bottom. This is not a wick, that's a trend line. That one there. So right now it's testing the bottom of the zone, which it did over here. Okay, so we had a nice move up, nice pullback. It stopped right here and then pulled back up to this high. So when it stopped here and pulled back up, guess what you do? You draw a 4-hour zone. Use your wick. Okay, well, on the return here, what did it do? It tested the bottom of that zone. That's what it's doing now. But look what happened. This 4-hour candle pushed down to the bottom of the zone, right? It opened here, pushed up a little bit, pushed down the bottom of the zone, testing it, closed here. We're in the middle of a 4-hour candle. Well, we're not even in the middle. So right now we're only 50 minutes into a candle. Okay, this one started at 10. So we're 50 minutes into this candle and it's touched the bottom of the zone. It's starting to kind of look like this. And this is a real aggressive candle. Nice aggressive push down. Is it going to hold the zone, the low area? You know, is it going to be able to close past that? And if it does close past that, that's a huge red candle. What did we expect to happen after a huge red candle? I'd expect a pullback. We don't always get them, but this is a pretty big candle right now. It is, if you look over here, take this candle and move it down there, almost identical. I don't know, we could measure that. Let's measure it from high to low. So we got what? 1371. To the low. We wick down there. Oh, well, look at that. So from the high to the low of this red candle here, it's 1235. So not quite as long yet. But this candle pushed down to the bottom of the zone, which is held up here when it pulled back. That candle is about the same size as this candle. Well, what happened after this candle? It pulled back. What happened after this downward move and test of that low? It pulled back. So what's going to happen off this test of the low? Don't know. Don't know. What should I plan for? Well, it held up here, so it could hold up again. So we might see it push back up. Okay? It can push back up and then continue down to this zone. So this right now is a big bearish move that may continue to the bottom of the zone. We don't know where it may stop. Draw your trend lines and look for them to hold up. So overall, if it does bounce here, if it does creep through and come back to bounce, if it bounces over here off this line, it could continue back down. So that's kind of what we have to plan for. All right. We have to plan for that to happen, that could happen. And then all the while, we're going to be down on a 3-minute or 5 or 1, and we're going to be looking to see what happens here. Is this actually going to stay and continue bearish, or is it going to, bounce in here? In order to know that it bounces, we're going to look for bullish structure. We need to see some sort of bullish structure to tell us that it may pull back up higher. We need to see something like this, and love to see a bounce off the top of that to know that it's going to retrace where? Up there. Because if it doesn't show us signs of that, if it doesn't show us signs of bullish structure over here, well then downward it is. We still have downward momentum off the higher time frame. All right. So just keep that in mind as you're trading. The short may not be over. You just have to kind of watch and see how structure builds up on these. But it is Friday, so I'm not really interested in what it does the rest of the day. I'm not going to be trading it, so I can just, leave the computers and then do other things. And then, tonight, tomorrow, Sunday, sometime before market opens, I can look and see what's happened the rest of the day. I really don't need to sit and watch it. So I'll kill the live. Hope you guys had fun. Didn't really trade much today. Lost back some of the gains. Ended up with, 9 956.63 on the day. Most of those were taken before we got in the live. So that's why I tried to do the live a little bit earlier. I know someone asked the other day about trading more on the lives. The problem is it depends on when I get to the computer. So I've been coming in and doing them around 9, somewhere between 9:45, either before the U.S. stock market or after the stock market opens, about 15 minutes, letting the news settle in if there's news. So we stopped kind of doing them first thing in the morning because there was a lot of chop and a lot of sideways movement. And that's, of course, what we got today. So we had a lot of chop before the U.S. stock market, during the U.S. stock market, and things started trending a little bit later. So if you look at when things broke out and trended, if you look at Nasdaq, it broke out here and started trending down at 10 o'clock. If you look at ES, around the same. Over here, it broke these lows from the chop area, and what did it do? It just took off and trended. 10 o'clock. Platinum. Over here, gave a sell signal. Right there, everything come back in line. What time? 10:07. Okay? Canadian dollar I was in earlier. But even then, it was like 9 something. But that I'm looking at the 4X time. I'm looking at 8:30 to 9 switch over. So if you look again, let's look at oil. So oil had nice moves overall, decent pullbacks. It didn't really trend anywhere, but let's find 10 o'clock. There's 10 o'clock. So even 10 o'clock on oil. So look at oil. Had nice, decent swings, right? Great pullbacks to test the inside tops. Over here, where it got a little more aggressive, popped down sideways, popped down here, real aggressive. What was that? 10.13. So again, that's kind of why I've been waiting to jump in, because specifically on the indices, S&P, Russell, Dow, and Nasdaq, it's that 9:30 when the market opens, you get chop, you expect volatility. We're looking to trade after that. What happens after that? So trading after 10 or at 10, around there looking for entries, played out very well. Since I decided to come in earlier and start the live, that's why I got tossed around in the chop. That's all it is. But again, I did real super light contracts on them. So I didn't really care about what I was throwing at the market because of that. I expected chop because, again, it was before the U.S. stock market opened. So you have to take that in consideration and decide. We've talked about this a ton. You have to decide, what time are you coming to the table to trade? Are you coming at 6 a.m., 7 a.m.? And I typically like to get in trades before the U.S. stock market opens. It didn't pan out today. I love getting into a trade. The gold trade I had here, short. I love getting in those before market opens. And then stock market opens, and it keeps going down. Well, that wasn't today. Okay, got in short off signals, trades, setups, good setups. It just didn't pan out. And then you have the market open and it reversed. Okay, then it reversed back. So same with like ES and Nasdaq. ES I was short earlier and traded ES down to previous low and caught some closed partial, got stopped out on the rest. So whipped back and forth, not whipped really, but moved back and forth till when? Well, there's 9 o'clock. Up here's 9:15. Down here should be what? 9:30. Is there a pattern there? 9 o'clock, around 9, 9:15, 9:30, 9:45, and then it actually pushed shorter and then finally broke the low and then just went. And that was around that 10 o'clock hour that it broke. So that's letting the market settle in for half an hour. And some people, everybody does that. You have to decide for yourself, are you going to trade, right when the U.S. stock market opens at 9:30? Just realize if you do, you might get whipped around back and forth in this back and forth action up here. And you're going to have to take some lumps and losses. If you're okay with that, then by all means trade at 9:30. If you don't want that added risk, added losses, then you wait. So it's a matter of, do you wait 15 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour? How long do you wait until, into the U.S. stock market? Some people wait 15 minutes. They say after 15 minutes, I'm going to look. Some people wait half hour. Some people wait an hour. So you kind of have to decide for yourself what you're going to do. Look for the breakouts. I didn't get in any of these on the breakouts. I'm too busy doing other stuff, just talking and flipping charts. So if that gets too much, you guys, I always said, let me know. If it gets too much flipping back and forth, especially with me flipping over to the, the trade sheet and everything, it might be a little much because then you can't watch the market. So hope everybody enjoys their week, day. Hopefully you locked in profit on the week. Where's everybody at on the week? Look at your week. Hopefully you're positive on the week. We don't really want to see anyone negative on the week. It's okay to have a negative day. It's okay to have a few negative trades. Then it's okay to have a negative day or a negative 2 days. But if you're trading 5 days a week, you want to be positive at the end of the week. If you're not, we need to look and see how you can maybe tweak what you're doing. It could be time of day trading. It could be contract size. There's many reasons. Could be stop size. It just depends. So hopefully you're good on the week. I'd say take a break over the weekend. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your family. And then, I like to Saturday night when everybody goes to sleep. If I stay up late, it's normally till 3 or 4 in the morning on Sunday, 3 or 4 a.m. because everybody else sleeps in on Sunday. So I get a chance to sleep in. So at that point, I like to sit and look at the charts, sometimes Saturday night, and kind of set them up on the 4-hour. Always look at the 4-hour and draw your zones, trend lines, and stuff. I will be posting 4-hour charts Sunday. I forgot to post. I thought I posted them last Sunday. I forgot about that. Sorry, guys. So the 4-hour charts will be posted with the zones and stuff on Sunday because this is all changing as we're making new lows. And I love that Nasdaq is popping through because this just, should set that in a little deeper why we hold runners. Try to hold them as long as you can because it's easier to take a runner and hold it all the way through. Capture your closed partial. Could have got in here, wherever. Capture closed partial, hold your runner. It's easier to hold that runner than to try and get back in because you're waiting on a pullback. We don't get a pullback. You get the green candle, but that's not a pullback. Then you get red, and you're like, man, I should have done it there, but I didn't. It goes down, retraces 3 candles back, and you're going, okay, that's it. I'm waiting on a pullback deeper, and then you get a red candle, and it goes down, and you miss it. You're waiting on a pullback deeper, and I've done that. You're waiting on a pullback deeper, and it doesn't happen. So, but if you drew a retracement line across those, few candles, well, then it broke it. It basically broke it. And I know that's not the best. If you do it on a 1 minute, we would see that a little bit better. Oh, sorry, guys. You guys aren't even on the right chart. But again, it's easier to hold the runner all the way down than to try and, when it comes down, you get a green candle. You're like, okay, I'm waiting on a pullback. I'm going to get waiting on a pullback. And then you don't. And then it goes further. So you see a green candle, you're going, okay, when it pulls back, I'm going to get back in because you're out. And you get a red candle, it pulls down. Well, now you get a green candle. And you're going, okay, when it retraces back, I'm going to get back in. I'm expecting deeper pullback. This is a 4-hour zone. It should bounce. It should pull back. Well, it doesn't. After, 2 green candles, it shoots down. And then you're missing it. You're like, man, I missed that. I wish I would have got in. Green candle here, you're saying the same thing. Okay, I'm waiting on a pullback. Since it's moved so far, because this is the things that goes through people's minds. Since it's moved so far, it should pull back pretty decent. I'll wait till it pulls back up in here and get in. and it doesn't. It pushes down. So you have to decide, when are you going to take them? Obviously, drawing a retracement line here is a little easier. We have more candles than these. Okay. But overall, if you held a runner through this, you're still in. You don't have to wait for a pullback to get in, and that never happens. Here, you don't have to wait for a pullback to get in. That never happens. Here, you're waiting on a pullback, and it breaks the retracement line, and you get in. And finally, you're like, okay, second trade, great trade. But you look back going, man, if I just left a runner on. All right, so that's why we hold runners. So I hope you guys enjoyed. It wasn't the best day. I stopped trading before everything broke out. So we won't be doing that again. So that's why I've been going and doing the lives and that we did earlier this week, and they didn't start till 9:30 or 9:45. That's why. It's not to hide anything. Yes, I get in some trades beforehand. Today I got in a few trades, and that's why I went live early, because they were on. But that's why I don't start them early, because I'll look at the market. I'm normally drinking coffee trying to wake up, and I don't know if I'm going to get in a trade at 8, 8:30, 9. I have no idea, because it's going to be based on the movements and if there's a setup. So I really don't. We've done that before, where I've started the lives at like 7 o'clock, and 7:30 and 8 o'clock, and we'd sit around for a while, and there's no trading going on because there's no setups. So again, that's why I've been waiting to start them later, so that the lives aren't like 6 hours long, and the first 3 hours there's really nothing, or 2-3 hours there's really nothing going on, and that's what I don't want. So that's why we were starting them a little later. So we'll go back to that on Monday. I just wanted to show you the difference, because I don't want to get caught up in that initial stage. If I'm in early, it's okay, but trying to trade through all that chop is just not healthy. So take time to relax over the weekend, and enjoy time with the family. And then don't forget those who Sunday, before market opens, I'll have the 4-hour charts out there, and take a peek at those. Draw your zones on your charts. Have a good weekend.